Welcome back to the Sixth Gear Garage, where I currently have two very unroadworthy 1980 long beds that I plan to combine to make one hopefully decent 1980 long bed. So today I'm going to finish completely gutting the Oklahoma 1980 long bed. And then I'm going to discover some good news about this truck, a couple things I didn't know when I had this thing shipped up to Ohio. And it's almost 40 degrees today, so it's a great day to push it outside and give it a bath with a pressure washer and see if I can remove some of this nasty, thick grime that I don't even know what it is, but it's thick. Last time we took the interior out of both trucks to compare the floors to see which one would make a better base for this project, and the answer was neither. They're both very rusty. Although being an Ohio truck, this one was a little bit less rusty than the Oklahoma truck, which sat outside for years without a passenger side window. Therefore, this one rotted from inside the cab out, whereas this truck, being driven in Ohio, has rotted from the outside in. Retaining all that water for so long has just made the interior of this truck completely a waste. You can see even where the rails, where the seat mounts are completely rotted away on the ends, both sides of the floor, and also just a lot of miscellaneous rust back here along these seams, whereas on the other truck, it was pretty clean back here. So I am going to go with the Ohio 1980 cab, and if there's anything I can use off of this cab, I will cut that off and save it. Maybe the rockers or this area down here, because I do have a lot of rust on the exterior of this truck. So my next big step is to get this truck stripped down to the bare frame so I can start preparing the frame to repaint it, because this is a very solid frame. And today I'm going to be gutting the rest of this cab to get it ready to pull off. I stand a chance on this mirror. Oh, there goes part of it. Yeah, it's just completely dry rotted from years of sun. Oh yeah, it's gonna shatter. I know you can buy these brand new for the 84 to 88 trucks, but I don't think you can buy them for these trucks. There was no saving that. But we'll get the rest of the mirror out. Oh, by the way, I gotta show you guys something. I did some searching online, and I found that they make reproduction floors for this truck. Check it out. They're aftermarket and they're not actually stamped. It looks like they're almost made with like a CNC process. You can see the scratch marks on it from the tools that form the floors. By the way, I'm down here in my Toyota parts warehouse. You can see this is where I pour all of my parts and where I do eventually list them into my store. I'll put a link down in the description. Most of the stuff in there now is all the 84 to 88 parts. I really haven't gotten around to sorting out the parts from this truck yet because I don't know what I'm gonna need. You'll probably see some parts from this truck eventually once I find out what I need and what I don't need. For now, this is just something that I do in my spare time. All right, let's get back up to the garage and get this truck cleaned out. So I've definitely had some setbacks on these trucks, with the condition of the floor and the rust and whatnot. And when I bought this truck, I assumed this engine would be seized because it's been sitting out in the open without an oil cap or a carburetor or even an oil filter for years. But I just popped off the valve cover and this looks a lot better than I expected. Look at that. No rust anywhere on there. So there might be hope for this engine, maybe not as a whole, but at least for parts. Of course, I won't know for sure if the valves are okay until I pull the head off, because I'm sure some water and moisture has gotten down in there over the years. But looking better than I expected. Go ahead and spray some oil on here just to keep this looking clean. And along with the clean frame and chassis, suspension, gas tank, I was also excited to get a 4-speed manual with this truck. But it turns out, I checked on the VIN tag here, and if you look down here, this is a W50 transmission, which is actually the optional 5-speed manual in this truck, along with the 410 rear end. So although it's not an SR5 truck, it was optioned out with the air conditioning as we saw, as well as the 5-speed transmission. So that is awesome because I've been hanging on to this old W55 from the 1987 truck in case I ever did have trouble with the 4-speed, but it turns out now I've got 2 5-speeds to work with. And if we take a look under the truck here, underneath all this crust and crud, you can't tell, but the W50 actually uses a steel case instead of an aluminum case. So that thing has got to be heavy. And the amount of crud that's accumulated under here is actually amazing. I've never seen anything this crusty. So I'm really looking forward to getting this thing outside and taking the pressure washer to it and seeing how well it cleans up. But first, I got a pile of rags here. I'm going to stuff rags in every opening on this engine just so no more water gets inside. All right, so it's back inside, all dried off now. It's looking, well, a little bit less dirty, but I washed off some paint in some spots, so a little more rusty. Bed's in better condition than I had thought. A lot of that was just that red dirt, although there is also a lot of rust that I found under the dirt, and that's going to be a whole other issue. Over here on the cab, some of what I thought might be red dirt was actually rust settled down in the seams. Of course, the interior is a complete loss as far as the floors go. I actually washed away some rust and revealed some new holes that I didn't even know about before. So those reproduction floors I showed earlier will be going into the Ohio cab. As far as the engine bay goes, it did clean up pretty well. Some of this stuff was just so thick that it wasn't even washing off. Even with that red tip, the one that's 0 degrees that will like cut through a human. No, that's not even gonna wash off some of this gunk. But it was worth the time to do it because it did get a lot of the crud off. I spent a lot of time spraying the underside of the truck, hope I get some of that crud off of there, and you can see it's still on for the most part, real thick. I think once I get the cab pulled off, I'll roll it back outside for round 2 where I can spray it from the top. But I barely put a dent in this from the pressure washer. And you can see the frame is still pretty dirty, but there are no rust holes. So I'm definitely happy with getting this shipped up here. This is a great candidate for stripping down and repainting. Here's a closer look at this side. You can see it just has a little bit of that surface rust on it, but otherwise it has the original black coating from the factory. You're not gonna find anything like this from Ohio. And that's gonna be it for today. Consider subscribing for more project vehicle updates and how-to videos here at the 6th Gear Garage. Thanks for watching.